Welcome to Seeking God, where we consider the questions and stories regarding faith. Do you have a favorite place? A place where you can go and while you're there you feel special? Or perhaps while you're there you enjoy the quiet or the noise or whatever is going on there? How about at times in your life? Have there been places where you have gone that were special to you? Perhaps a park, or perhaps maybe even your grandparents' home, or a friend's home, a place where you felt safe and somehow you felt special. It's important at times to have those kind of places, a place where we can go, where we can retreat, where we can have some needs met, and maybe just feel special for a little while. How about in your life of faith? Have you had places like this? Or maybe times like this? As you think back over your spiritual journey, where are the ones that move you and touch you? Where you felt the closest to the holy? Where the divine seems to be a part of you, or at least right next to you? When and where have those happened? I think that those times are special times, and those places are special places in our lives of faith. We need to have those times to remind us what it means to be close to the holy. I have found it at times in very special places. There's an island off the east coast that early on became very special to me. And I would go there and camp, sometimes for a whole week, because I felt close to something that was greater than myself. The waves crashing in, the sound of the waves and the surf at night, the vast expanse of beach where there were not a lot of people, where I could be alone. And while there, I would be touched spiritually. I've also found it in times and places in the woods as I've hiked or wandered through them. Babbling brooks and creeks and springs have been special places to me, where I could sit and I could know that even in these places, and perhaps even especially in these places, there was something special, and I felt special. Many faiths, many religions talk about places called thin places. Places where we are so close to the holy that we can feel it. And somehow we're moved in those places, and we're touched in those places, and things are special. Christian religions have adopted some of those places in various ways. For instance, one of those times and places was on Samhain in the Celtic traditions. An evening when we were so close to the spirit world that they could move back and forth. Western Christian traditions adopted that, and on the next day proclaimed it All Saints' Day. Samhain became what we now know as All Hallows' Eve, or Halloween. A time when it was celebrated that we are close to those in the spirit world and to the holy. I don't think that those exist simply in those special times and places, although I think that they probably do. I think that they exist throughout our lives, not simply in springs and woods and oceans, but in those times when we somehow open ourselves to the holy and we become closest to the divine. In those times, those are special times, and in those times, we may feel special. I think thin places and thin spaces exist throughout our lives. And they can be times where our spiritual lives are reinvigorated, where we are touched and moved, and as we have those, we grow. They don't happen all the time. That's not the nature of our lives. But I believe they do happen. And when they do, we feel special. Thin places and thin spaces are part of our journeys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for joining me in seeking God.